Elena clutched the edge of the bathroom sink, her knuckles turning white as the world spun around her. The cheap plastic stick trembled in her other hand, two pink lines staring back like a death sentence. She was pregnant. And the father? The man who'd whispered promises in the dark, only to vanish like smoke at dawn. Alexander Voss, the alpha king of the Silver Moon Pack, had claimed her body that stormy night in the forest cabin, his touch igniting fires she didn't know existed. But when morning came, he looked at her with those cold, golden eyes, and said, "This was a mistake. You're nothing but a human stray. Forget this ever happened." He'd left her there, broken and alone, without a backward glance. Tears burned her eyes as she slid to the floor, the tile cold against her skin. How could she forget? His scent still lingered on her clothes, a mix of pine and raw power that made her wolf-less heart ache. She wasn't like him, no shifter blood, no pack to call home. Just a girl who'd wandered too close to the wild side. But now, there was a life inside her, his life, and she had no one to turn to. What would he do if he knew? Cast her out for good? Or worse, claim the child and leave her in the dust? 5 years later, Elena wiped flour from her hands on her apron, the warm scent of fresh cinnamon rolls filling her tiny bakery in the sleepy town of Evergreen Hollow. It was a far cry from the glittering world of alphas and packs she'd glimpsed that fateful night. Here, she was just Elena Harper, single mom and owner of Sweet Haven Bakery, where locals came for comfort food and a kind word. No one knew her secrets, not even little Liam, her 4-year-old son, with eyes like molten gold and a laugh that could melt the hardest heart. "Mommy, look. I drew a wolf." Liam bounded from the back room, waving a crayon. Masterpiece. Elena's breath caught. The drawing was crude, but the beast's outline was fierce, almost too real for a child's hand. She forced a smile, kneeling to his level. "It's amazing, buddy. But remember, wolves are just in stories, okay?" He tilted his head, those eyes so much like his father's sparking with curiosity. "But I dream about them, Mommy. Big ones, with fur like Daddy's." Elena's heart stuttered. "We don't talk about Daddy, remember? He's gone." She pulled him into a hug, inhaling his sweet, pup-like scent that always reminded her of that night. Liam didn't know the truth, and she intended to keep it that way. Hiding him from the pack world had been her only choice. Alexander's rejection had shattered her, but it had also forged her into something stronger. She worked on to dusk, scraping by on tips and late-night baking sessions, all to give Liam a normal life, away from the claws and hierarchies that could tear him apart. But lately, strange things were happening. Liam's fevers came and went, his little body running hot like a furnace. And last week, during a tantrum, his eyes had flashed amber, a growl rumbling from his tiny chest. Elena pushed the fear down deep. He was just a kid, her kid, nothing more. The bell above the door jingled, pulling her from her thoughts. A group of tourists wandered in, chatting about the nearby national park. Elena plastered on her welcoming smile. "Morning. What can I get you folks?" The apple turnovers are fresh out of the oven. As she boxed up their order, a shadow fell over the counter. She looked up and froze. A man stood there, tall and broad-shouldered, his presence sucking the air from the room. Dark hair, chiseled jaw, and those eyes, golden piercing, like a predator sizing up prey. Alexander Voss, the Alpha King himself, in her bakery, dressed in a tailored black coat that screamed power and wealth. Her pulse thundered in her ears. What was he doing here? Evergreen Hollow was miles from pack territory. She hadn't seen him since that night, hadn't dared seek him out. But now, he was scanning the room, his nostrils flaring as if scenting something familiar. "Can I help you?" Her voice came out steadier than she felt, though her hands shook as she wiped the counter. His gaze locked on hers, recognition flickering like a storm cloud. "Elena." His voice was a low rumble, sending shivers down her spine. It wasn't a question. He knew her, remembered her. But there was no warmth, just that cold dominance she'd never forgotten. She swallowed hard, forcing nonchalance. "Sorry. Do I know you?" A muscle ticked in his jaw. "Don't play games. I never forget a scent." He leaned closer, his aura pressing against her like a physical force. "What are you doing in a place like this?" "Working, living." She met his stare, refusing to back down. Inside, her mind raced. Liam was in the back. What if he came out? What if Alexander smelled him? Before she could think, Liam's voice piped up from behind the swinging door. "Mommy, I'm hungry." Alexander's head snapped toward the sound, his eyes narrowing. Elena's blood turned to ice. No, not now. The door creaked open, and Liam peeked out, clutching his drawing. Who's that, Mommy? Alexander went still, his face paling as he stared at the boy. Those golden eyes widened, flicking between Liam's features and Elena's face. She saw the moment it hit him, the resemblance, the scent that screamed blood kin. His heir, hidden from him all these years. What the hell is this? Alexander's voice was a dangerous whisper, laced with fury and something deeper, something raw. Elena's heart hammered. She stepped in front of Liam, shielding him. He's my son. Now, if you're not buying anything, please leave. But Alexander didn't move. His gaze bored into Liam, who stared back with wide, innocent eyes. Pup, Alexander murmured, the words slipping out like a revelation. Then louder, he's mine. The tourists glanced over, sensing the tension. Elena's mind whirled. Deny it, run? But where? Alexander was the alpha king. He could track her anywhere. Liam tugged her apron. Mommy, why does he smell like my dreams? Alexander's expression cracked, a flicker of regret shadowing his cold facade. Elena, why didn't you tell me? She laughed bitterly, the sound hollow. Tell you? After you called me a mistake? Threw me away like trash? Her voice dropped, trembling with years of pent-up pain. I protected him from you, from your world. He stepped closer, his hand reaching out as if to touch her, but he stopped himself. I was wrong, blind. But this changes everything, does it? Elena wondered, her chest aching. Part of her wanted to believe him, to let the slow burning fire from that night reignite. But trust? After the abandonment that had left her scraping by, alone with a child who was more wolf than she could handle. The bell jingled again, more customers entering, but the air between them crackled with unspoken words. Alexander's eyes softened for a split second, revealing a vulnerability she hadn't expected from the iron-willed alpha. We need to talk. Alone. Elena's resolve wavered. What if Liam's changes were signs of his first shift? What if she couldn't handle it without pack knowledge? But handing him over to Alexander meant risking her heart all over again. Before she could respond, Liam let out a small whimper, clutching his stomach. Mommy, it hurts again. Alexander's face hardened with concern. What's wrong with him? Nothing you need to worry about, she snapped, but fear gnawed at her. The fevers were getting worse, he growled low. He's my blood. I can sense it, the power stirring. You can't hide this forever, Elena. She glared, but inside, doubt crept in. Was she endangering Liam by keeping him hidden? Alexander's presence stirred old feelings, a magnetic pull she fought against. His dominance called to her, but so did the memory of his cold dismissal. The customers shifted uncomfortably, whispering. Elena glanced at the clock, closing time soon. Fine, after hours. But don't think this means anything. Alexander nodded, his eyes lingering on Liam with a possessiveness that sent chills through her. As he turned to leave, he paused at the door. I never stopped thinking about that night, Elena. About you. Her breath caught. Lies or truth? The door shut behind him, leaving her reeling. That evening, as the sun dipped low, Elena locked up the bakery, Liam asleep in the back room. She'd agreed to meet Alexander outside, but nerves twisted her gut. What if he took Liam? What if her own buried feelings betrayed her? A knock echoed. She opened the door, and there he stood, shadows playing across his face. Elena, there's something you need to know about our son. Her heart skipped. Our son. The words hung heavy. He's not just any pup, Alexander continued, his voice grave. He's showing signs of royal bloodline abilities. Abilities that could kill him if not guided. Elena's world tilted. What do you mean? Before he could answer, a distant howl pierced the night, and Liam stirred inside, his eyes opening with that unnatural glow. Alexander's expression turned to alarm. They're coming. The rival pack they've sended him to. Elena's blood ran cold. Who, and why now? As growls echoed closer, Alexander grabbed her arm, pulling her inside. We have to protect him, together. But in that moment, with danger closing in and old wounds reopening, Elena wondered if trusting the alpha who'd broken her was her biggest mistake yet, or her only salvation. The howls grew louder, shadows moving in the trees beyond the bakery. Alexander's grip tightened, his body heat igniting sparks she thought long dead. Elena? Run or fight? She met his gaze, heart pounding. But before she could decide, the door burst open, and a snarling figure lunged from the darkness.